This is Gotti Elcon here with the co-producer and editor of Cartel Land, Bradley Ross. Bradley, here in Texas, the Mexican drug war is an issue that we're impacted by. Even up here in Dallas, they used to be the theory that Miami used to be the influx of drugs, but now Texas has become very, a gateway for people traveling in, especially with the Mexican drug cartels. Can you talk to us about this big issue, this what exactly this film is showcasing, the crazy nature of what's going on down there? It's getting kind of wild. It's getting really crazy.
It is. Well, our film basically follows two vigilante groups. One is in Arizona on the border on the U.S. side, and the other is deep in Mexico, not on the border, but inland in Michoacan, Mexico. Mm-hmm. And on the U.S. side, that's exactly what they're experiencing. Tim Naylor, who's the main character with Arizona Border Recon, he basically started a vigilante group, and a bunch of former military come and they defend the border. And what they've discovered throughout the years is that basically that area for them is like the Wild West, mm-hmm. And therefore they do what they can to shut down cartel traffic, drug traffic, human smuggling, because basically the cartel now is controlling all of the human smuggling and all of the drug smuggling as well. So he's been doing it for years now, and so the American side focuses on his story and what it means to him to take the law into his own hands. And then, like I said, in Mexico, the Auto Defenses movement and El Doctor, who's spearheaded that movement, and you just watch it all unfold as the movie goes on.
It's interesting because Arizona, not too long ago, there was all the cases of the underground, like literally people moving stuff underground and people looking in sewage containers and there being people. I mean, it's spread throughout the southern borders, like you say. For those that don't know what's going on, can you give us a little bit of maybe a history of what's happening maybe since the big drug dealers like Pablo Escobar have been found and killed? The nature of the drug game in Mexico is very violent and very different because there seems to be so many different factions, so many different groups. And I know that the guys down there are battling so many different elements. It's not like the old drug game. It seems
right.
A lot more deadly, a lot more dangerous.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think you can see by how they protect themselves and the weapons they carry. We never wanted to make a political film. Mm-hmm. I worked with Matt Heineman, the director of Cartel Land, on his first film, Escape Fire, Fight to Rescue American Healthcare, which was more of an essay film about the healthcare industry. This film, we really just wanted to follow, through verite, why these people come to do what they do. As far as in answer to your question about the drug activity, I think what we explore in the film is really, them trying to shut down cartel activity, and one of the main things that they do is they look for scouts. Mm-hmm. So basically on the U.S. side of the border, the cartel is actually scouting, and they have various locations, areas where they can see for miles and miles and miles. And then they relay that back to Mexico as the cartel either sends drugs or human trafficking. And they're very talented and skilled. They've been doing this for a very long time. They know the terrain extremely well. And so Naylor is spending a lot of time down there to try to catch up. And it's sort of a cat and mouse game with their strategy, as you'll see in the film, is about shutting down the scouts. Because if they shut down the scouts, opposed to just stopping, one incident of drugs or one incident of human trafficking, if they can shut down the scouts, then they shut down the operation.
Yeah.
And then if they don't have eyes on the ground, people are just running blind as they cross the border. So that's really their technique, and the side of the story we show in the film.
As the editor, you have a strong TV background. You MTV even back in the day, and can you talk to me about working with Michael switching to the film side, and has that changed you editing wise, or how is it different, how is it similar though?
You mean Matt?
Yeah. Did I say,
you said Michael.
Michael. Yeah,
no,
Matt.
that's okay. Yeah, it's it's fascinating the difference when you edit a documentary film. It's like truly a grueling experience, but a treat. You know, when you edit a True Life, let's say, which I edited a couple for like MTV, True Life, I'm Going to Rehab, which was interesting. Usually a producer is screening all the footage, and then they give you a very, you know, a highlights reel, essentially, like 20 minutes, and you have to turn it into 5 minutes. When you do a documentary, you watch all the footage, you know, and in Cartel Land, you know, it was so much footage. There was like 700 hours of footage to make this 98-minute film. We needed more hands on deck. So it was like one of the craziest experiences because we had 3 editors and Matt also edited himself. And we all like just worked so harmoniously together, and it was so much fun. And there were actually no egos involved, which we were all like surprised by, because if you know editors at all, we all tend to have a bit of an ego. But like we really appreciated the different strengths we brought to the project. So the one editor, Matt Hamachek, he screened all of the footage, which is such a luxury, you know, for an editor to be able to do. And when I worked on Escape Fire, I screened every frame of footage, opposed to just being told this is sort of what happens. Yeah. You know, and then you have to, you know, really decide how you want to tell this story. You know, Matt really wanted to minimize talking heads as much as possible. Our goal was always, let's try to just tell this story through verite, you know, having confidence in the storylines and like really infusing the story in a way that's not like someone talking to you on screen. And so when you're editing a documentary, you have a lot more time to do that. You know, it's a much more organic experience. And what's great about Matt's leadership is there really are no rules. You know, we all, oddly enough, like Matt, I know didn't go to film school. I didn't go to film school. So we just follow our instincts, you know, and tell a story in a way we think's appropriate for what we're looking at. Opposed to like when you edit a TV show, there's a formula, you know, they want you like every act by act hit certain points at certain times, open an act this way, close an act this way. So in the documentary world, it's really the world was our, you know, oyster, and we could do whatever we wanted. And so that leads to a lot of work, because like most editors say, you know, you have an idea at, you know, 9 o'clock at night. That means you'll probably be there till 1 a.m, you know? So sometimes it's better to not have ideas if you want to go home. But, you know, so it's the yin and yang of it all. It's, you know, we ended up on this film working, you know, 14, 15, 16-hour days. I think I pulled off a 21-hour day once, you know, when we were really trying to get it ready to submit to certain festivals. So it's a grueling process, but you get to walk away feeling very proud and very accomplished for like really achieving something that seemed so impossible when we first looked at 700 hours of footage.
Wow, it's crazy. Can we talk a bit about that festival run, where this film has gone and where you've shown it, and you know, the reactions, because you guys have taken this to some fun places.
Yeah, I mean, we always had our eye on Sundance for our premiere. Like I said, with Escape Fire, we also premiered there. So that festival holds a special place in all of our hearts. And it was incredible being in Park City with this film, because the response was so strong. I mean, never in my life before have people circled around me just to listen to anything I was willing to say, because they were so captivated by the film. It had so much buzz. And Sundance, you know, the Institute really appreciated it as well. And as a result, you know, we won 2 grand jury prizes there. And suddenly it was just like media pouring, you know, out from all sources, you know, and it was really exciting being there for the award show, you know, watching Matt get Best Cinematography, Best Directing Award. I mean, he literally put his life at risk while making this film. As you'll see in it, you know, he's being shot at times. As he says in many Q&As, it's like when he was in a car in Mexico, he didn't know who he was with, whether it was a good guy, whether it was a bad guy, whether they're going to a meth lab or whether they're going to, you know, anywhere else. I mean, there was just so many X variables. He thought he was originally making a story of just like good people rising up to chase the evil people. But in Mexico, it gets much more dicey than that. And, you know, and so it's a really exciting film. And I think people responded to that at the festivals. I know this weekend in particular, we're, you know, at a couple festivals. That's why Matt unfortunately couldn't be here. So it's been an exciting run for them, and we got U.S. distribution through The Orchard. So it's coming out to theaters this summer in the United States, and even more exciting to a lot of us, it's coming out in Mexico in May, just before the elections there. So that's gonna be interesting because to see how the Mexican government will respond to this. I think all of us are sort of on the edge of our seats, and I think this is an important film. Like I said, we never want to make a political film at all. It's just you watch the story unfold, but it will be very interesting to see how they respond to, this movie.
Is it crazy to think that the film can have that big of an impact? It can have a political impact. It can change. It has that much power because it's showing so much of the reality. Do you ever say, "Wow, maybe we have a way more power than we ever thought we would in just making a cinema verite movie"? There's something very important about showing this.
Yeah, I mean, that's the beauty of filmmaking. We all sat down and we wanted to make a movie about vigilantism, essentially. That's where we started. And as Matt always says, if you end up making the movie you started making, you haven't listened to anyone along the way. Couldn't be more true here because we just never could anticipate, the storyline that just unfolded. And we really admire the main character, El Doctor, Dr. Morales, because Matt said when he went down there, he's like, if I'm going to tell this story, first of all, I'm just documenting history here. I'm not judging. It's not my place to judge, but I'm going to show all sides of you. And in the movie, the doctor really had the courage to show both the good sides of himself and the bad sides of himself, to give a fair and balanced story. And that's really remarkable. And yes, I think we never would anticipate and we never created something to change politics in Mexico, but if that's the effect, I mean, that's incredible. That's the beauty of filmmaking. I think in this, medium, when you have the audio and the visual and a documentary story, it really has the power to impact. Yeah. Escape Fire was very much like that, in terms of how it affected the United States and, people and their perspective on healthcare. So, I, as an editor, as a producer, I work on a variety of things. Rarely do I have experiences like this or with Escape Fire to work on something that really can impact the world. And I think that's why, we endure the 16-hour days. That's why I do it. I don't want to speak for anyone else. It's really a gift to be able to get paid and do something like this, or just do something like this, but to line up my occupation with something that actually, can create change is pretty cool, I think.
Are you guys working on other projects? I mean, have you thought about what's coming next? You have created these captivating documentaries together, and I'm curious where that goes for both of y'all.
Yeah, I mean, time will tell, I guess. I know Matt has some stuff in the works. I don't want to, tease any of his stuff. I have been developing my own production company, Manhattan Productions, and we do, we're trying to do a lot of narrative stuff as well as some docs and promos. So like many things, Matt and I have collaborated for years now, and hopefully we will continue to. I know we just are working on the trailer for the Mexico theaters now, and it's just, whenever I work with Matt, I learn 50 million things because his level of tenacity and persistence is just so incredible. And that he really can get the best work out of me and push me and push me and push me until it's perfect. And, it's hard to find those kind of collaborations and those opportunities. So hopefully we'll continue to work together on whatever avenues we pursue. I'm sure we will. I'm sure he would say the same thing.
Well, I know Sarah Harris and the team at Diff are really pushing this film. They were really moved by it and amazed by what you guys capture. So thank you for bringing it to Dallas and bringing it here to North Texas. I think people need to see it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's what we want, obviously, as many people to see this as possible. Because, like I said, what is seen is so incredible. I mean, when I just screened some of these scenes for the first time, I just could not believe what I was seeing. I could not believe Matt put himself in that situation. And I mean, at first, when we started working on the film, there was some scheduling conflicts for me, and he wouldn't let me off the hook. He was like, "We got to find a way to make this work." And his selling point was always this is an all-star team. The collaboration here is nothing any of us will be able to experience again. To work with two other editors and Matt, Molly Thompson at A&E Films, Tom Yellen at the documentary group. I mean, it's some of the most talented, warmest people I've ever met. And so it will always hold a very special point in my life, being able to work on this in this way. hopefully we can all do it again, but who knows, you know. We'll see what happens. But thank you very much for having us. We're very happy to be here, and it's exciting tonight for our premiere.
Yeah.
I'm excited to talk to some people after and see how it impacted them.
It'll be riveting. Thank you. Thank you, Bradley.
Thanks.
Awesome.